Hey everybody, welcome back to Tenza Motorsports. Today we're going to be doing 2 cars worth of brakes and brake bleeding. Now I'm doing the E46 right now, and we'll be showing the E36 later on in the video in more detail. I'm not going to show how to bleed the brakes because everybody knows how to bleed brakes. It's not like, you know, you had to look it up or anything, because who doesn't know how to bleed brakes? I especially know how to bleed brakes, so I'm going to be bleeding them once I put the new ones on, so that there's no air bubbles in them, because I know how to bleed brakes, obviously. So after I finish installing the brakes on this car and going through and bleeding them, I will talk about the main topic of today's video over on the 36 once I get all the supplies necessary to get the 36 done. Alright, so I ended up changing out all the calipers on the E46 race car and bleeding everything. We will be taking that one out for a drive soon. I have not driven it, so I'm very excited to do that. But before we do that, I want to take my old stuff and put it on the 36. Now, I didn't realize this until I started doing a lot of research, but the rotors that are on the 330 are almost the same dimensions as the E46 M3. It's the same diameter and only about 3 millimeters less in width. So these are a big upgrade to the 36, and not only are we doing the rotors, we will also be doing the calipers, which have some Hawk 5.0 pads in them, and I believe that this setup here has about 4,000 or 5,000 miles. So this car will be getting a complete front end refresh. Now, the downside to this is that the rear end of the car on these 36s is quite a bit different than the rear end on the 46, so nothing will change in the rear end of this car. So we're gonna have to be looking for some different replacement parts later on, but for right now, we're gonna be doing the front end of this car and see if it all works out. I have done very little test fitting to make sure this works, so I hope that this ends up working out, or I'll look really dumb on the video. So we're not gonna be doing anything else, just installing these front ones and getting them bled and seeing if everything matches up and if this is actually something you can do based on the little bit of research I did online. If you're curious to see how to paint your brake calipers or how to get 440 brakes on your E46, I'll have the links to those 2 videos in the description below, so you can see my journey through our brake caliper changes and upgrades between these 2 cars. And the last thing before we get this project started is you want to make sure that you have the right diameter of wheel. These are 17, so they will easily fit. I believe it also runs on 16s. I'm not sure on 15s, so just be really careful. It would obviously be a major setback if you had a set of 15-inch wheels and you went to go put this brake kit on and it didn't fit. So make sure you have the right diameter wheel. So let's get this off and get these installed. Well, we got this side all done and bled. It looks like everything is working properly. Obviously, I need to go take it out and test it before I get rid of any of the parts that were on here before. I'm gonna keep everything just in case this doesn't work, but I do wanna modify something I said earlier, that these would work with 16-inch wheels. I really don't think that they would. This barely clears with the 17. Now I know these 17s do fit because these are the wheels that used to be on my car when the car was fresh from factory, and so this brake setup has actually been behind a set of these 17-inch M Sport 3 Series wheels. So I know that this fits, but I don't think, based on this clearance here, that a 16 would fit on here, and a 15 definitely wouldn't fit. So again, make sure you've got the right size wheels. Now that I know, it's 17 and up. Well, there you have it. This was a pretty easy upgrade. The passenger side I did in like 25 minutes. The driver's side took a little bit longer because I had that set screw that holds the rotor onto the hub that was stripped out on the Allen head side of it. So I had to drill into it a little bit, and then I had to hammer in a Torx bit, and then I was able to get that bolt out and get this side finished. That was the majority of the time. I think that project, just taking that bolt out, took longer than installing and actually bleeding both sides. So I'm very happy with the way that it turned out so far. Obviously I haven't driven the car, but they do stop, and unless I have bled the system wrong, there isn't a reason why this shouldn't work. So for everybody who's looking at doing E46 M3 brakes on their E36, I would say don't do that. I would say to go to these 330 CI brakes. They are the same diameter like we mentioned earlier. They're almost the same thickness at 25 millimeters instead of 28 millimeters. And there is just as high of a variety of drilled and slotted in different brands for these rotors, as well as the E46 M3 rotors. And I believe, I haven't looked into it very much, but I'm assuming that there's probably a premium on having E46 M3 brakes and rotors off of an M3, you know, a takeoff, versus a 330 where you could probably find, you know, a set of these brakes maybe in a junkyard. So this is the way that I would go. Again, I would make sure that you have the right size wheels, because based on what we're seeing here, if you had anything less than a 17, it would not fit. I'm excited to get the car up and running and take it out for a test drive, see how well those brakes work. They weren't super bad before, but this is a lot more surface area, and the calipers are a little bit bigger. So thanks everybody for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you have any comments or questions, obviously leave them in the comment section below. Subscribe if you're new. I want to say thank you to everybody who's been signing up for my Patreon. It's been helping me out a ton. The link to that is in the description below. And until next time, everybody, we will see you in the next video.